I went from having this normal, healthy, active kid to someone who was only tiptoeing, only limping, and eventually ending up in a wheelchair. And we were not really prepared to handle that. I would say about a year and a half ago, we were in a gymnastics class, and after class, she would complain that her heels hurt.
At first, it wasn't too bad, but I was still hurting, and then it grew into limping, which lasted about a year, I think.
It did. It was a long time
And then,
that we managed.
yeah, and my toes hurt.
We called the pediatrician, and she said, try the heel gel cups first, and try some ice and ibuprofen.
That didn't help at all. It felt like I was stepping on glass, like broken glass.
Yeah.
On my heel.
We were managing it for about a year and a half, and we got through, summer camp where she was doing a lot of dancing, and it was sore, but she could do it. And then we got to the beginning of this school year, and she was in gym class, and they had them running a mile around the gym.
Yeah, in 12 minutes.
A 12-minute mile, yeah. And that is really kind of the turning point where the inflammation became so bad that she was only tiptoeing. She could not touch her heels to the ground. Mm-hmm. She really couldn't walk. And
I had to get a wheelchair from school.
We talked to her pediatrician, who is wonderful, but they will always tell you, just try this first. Mm-hmm. They don't really want to go down this rabbit hole if it's episodic and will improve. But hers turned out to be chronic.
This was like right before we saw Dr. German, and it started getting really bad when I was crawling on the floor.
Yeah, it was to the point where she would just crawl around the house because it was so painful. So we went back to the pediatrician and said, we have to do something, And fortunately, she had just met Dr. Jarman and said, this guy, I can just tell he's just really smart and he specializes in Severs, and I think, it's time. I have to say what I really liked about him is that he came into the room, we introduced ourselves, and I said, she's a little nervous. And he sat down, got on her level, and just talked to her. When we arrived at Pediatric Foot and Ankle, Dr. Jarman recommended a bracing device to wear when she's sleeping, and it held her foot in the flexed position. We got the orthotics about a week after they took the mold, which I thought was a really good turnaround time actually. And he also prescribed some steroids for her to take to reduce the inflammation. And the combination of those two things helped almost immediately. Mm-hmm. I would say by the next morning she was walking, and it was like a miracle happened in our house. I mean, she went mm-hmm. from crawling and sitting in a wheelchair to standing next to my bed that morning on her feet, and it was amazing.